All right, everybody, it's time for Belevsky Science. Yay, I'm back in the classroom. Hallelujah. It's been 2 weeks and I've been out of it. Glad to be back in the classroom. Glad to see all the happy, smiling faces again. It's really good to see everybody. And of course, you folks, you're not here. Chances are, if you're watching this, you're quarantined, you're at home you're sick, whatever the reason. So, um, going to make these videos, going to try to make them as short and sweet as I can. We didn't have a Google Meet today, and I probably should have put that. I know some of y'all that are in quarantine is probably looking for the Google Meet, and that's on me. I'm not planning to having another Google Meet probably until Thursday. So, but that's my bad. I should have told everybody there wouldn't be a Google Meet today because basically what I talked about in class was all that stuff that I've said all along. I need to be in the classroom to show you this, um, and it basically, if you tried to watch it online today, and I even have my doubts about what I'm about to show you, I really need to be in a position to try to teach this using a marker and board, and I just can't do that very well here, but I'm going to do my best to try to show you what we're talking about in class today. A couple of real quick announcements. I'm going to shoot for a Chapter 3 test on Friday. May not happen. There's a whole lot that I've got to go over. We still have Section 5 to go over, which is a big section. So depending on what I get to do tomorrow and Thursday, we may just say that it's going to be on Tuesday. The test will be Tuesday. We're out of school on Monday. So we'll see. Progress reports, those of you that are quarantined, blended, at home, you have until Friday to get that thing in the mail. And as long as it's got a postmark on it, ask your mom and dads what a postmark is. As long as it's got a postmark with Friday's date on it, and Friday's day is the 12th. As long as it's got the 12th on it, you'll be good. No matter when it arrives here, as long as it's got the 12th on it, and make sure it's got a signature on it. And Chapter 3, Section 3 is due tonight at 6 o'clock. So if you haven't turned that in, make sure you get that done quickly. All right. So classwork has basically, let's see, the stream, I have that announcement about no Google Meet today, and I know I put it up too late for some of you, and I'm sorry. And right here is the address. If you're quarantined, sick, or blended, here is the address that you need to mail in that progress report to. Decatur Middle School, attention, Nick Belevsky, 1011 Prospect Drive, Southeast Decatur, Alabama, 35601. Put a stamp on it, mail it in, and you will be good. All right. Classwork. Let's go to classwork real quick. All right. Right here's what's due today, Chapter 3, Section 3. And I'm looking right now at Science Period 2, but this is the same for everybody. It's the same cross, all the way across. So you have Chapter 3, Section 3 due today. Haven't decided when Chapter 3, Section 4 is going to be due. Here's the warm-up that you need to do today. All right, so let's get real quick into what we were talking about today in class. Today I was talking about the periodic table. And the big thing about the periodic table and elements is people start going, how do you know? How do you know that these are the things that make up the universe? And I can remember sitting in my 7th grade, 8th grade classes when this was introduced to me. And I can remember, how do you know? How do you know if you were to go to a far off planet that these same exact things that you see here are what you're going to find on another planet that is trillions of light years away from here? How do you know? I can remember thinking that to myself. Well, I'm going to go into detail and I'm going to show you how I know. I'm going to pause the video for just 1 second and you may see a glitch. I'll be right back. All right, sorry, I had somebody at the door. All right, so I'm going to try to show you real quickly what we talked about in class yesterday. So how do we know that these things right here are this is it throughout the universe. Okay, I'm going to show you real quick. Notice that right here, hydrogen. Okay, notice that it has the number 1 on it. All right, well, the reason why hydrogen is number 1 is I thought that I had an empty page. So I need to, where is that empty page? Okay, hang on just a second. I've messed something up. So let me come back to you. Okay. I think that I have it figured out now. All right. So how do we know? How do we know that these things are located in the universe? Okay, so here's how we know. Hydrogen has the number 1 attached to it. Helium has the number 2 attached to it. Lithium has the number 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to this blank page, and I'm going to try to draw, and hopefully it will let me, and it's not going to let me. All right, I really want to draw. So hydrogen, what this means is I'm trying to figure out a way to draw all this stuff for you. Hydrogen is this. Hydrogen means that there's a proton that is basically in the middle, 1 proton, and around it, it has these things that are called electrons going around it. Well, notice the 1 proton, that is for 1 hydrogen. All right, over here, helium. Okay, well, what you have is 2 protons. Okay, and that looks like a D. You got 2 protons, and then they are surrounded by electrons as well, by 2 electrons. All right, and it keeps on going. The same thing for lithium, the same thing for beryllium. And what that means is the entire universe is made up of atoms. And we know that because atoms are created by stars like our sun. Our sun takes hydrogen right here. It takes 1 hydrogen atom, takes another hydrogen atom, puts them together, and together, when you get 1 plus 1, you get 2, you get helium. And when our sun puts those atoms together, it releases a great deal of energy, and that's why we get heat and light and radiation from our sun. All right. But it also makes a new element, helium. Okay. And that is how different elements are made throughout our universe by various size stars putting elements together, putting atoms together, and making these various things that you see here. So why is that important? How is that important? Well, let's go over here to let me open up your warm up real quick. Okay, here's how it's important. All right, right here is today's warm up. By the way, what 2 things leave the body during exhalation? In other words, what are the waste products that you breathe out? Okay, hopefully you remember that one. This down here across the bottom, this right here is the photosynthesis equation. Okay. And if you look at it, you'll see here C6O2, 6H2O, when combined with light, gives you C6H12O6 and 6O2. So what does that mean? Well, hopefully you can remember 6CO2 means 6 carbon dioxide molecules. All right, so let's draw real quick a carbon dioxide molecule. Okay, that would be kind of something like this, and then a smaller one here and a smaller one there. All right, and in the center would be C, carbon, and then these 2 little atoms on the edges right here, that would be oxygen. So this would be O, and this one would be O. So CO2, 1 C, there's 1 O, there's the second O. All right, so what I have drawn right here is this is a very poor CO2 molecule. Okay, now Water has a little bit different shape. Water looks like this, that right there. And then it's going to have these little bitty on top. Kind of looks like Mickey Mouse ears. Well, these two smaller ones are H's. And this one right here is O. So H2. Here's one H. Here's one H. That's two. And one oxygen. H2O. And what happens in the photosynthesis equation is you're going to have 6 molecules of water and you're going to have 6 molecules of CO2. So in other words, I'd need to draw 6 more of these things, which I'm not even going to attempt to do on this. But if you were to draw 6 of these, and if you were to draw 6 molecules of water, when you add light to it, then you get this thing right here. You get C6H12O6, which is water. Mr. Belufsky, where does that C come from? Well, the C comes from the carbon that is in CO2 molecules. Mr. Belufsky, where does the H come from? Well, the H comes from the hydrogen, which is in the water molecules. Where does the O come from? Well, there's O right here in H2O, and there's also O right here in CO2, where you get these 6 O's from. So that right there is sugar, okay? Now, you're going to have extra oxygens left over because we've got so much oxygen right here. There's oxygen, and remember, there's an oxygen, and there's an oxygen. You're actually going to have 12 oxygen atoms left over, and that's where this comes in. I know that is super confusing, and what I may try to do is tomorrow I'm going to try to bring a Chromebook in here, and maybe I can set my Chromebook up on the board up there, and I can try to draw some of this for y'all and maybe give you a better look. I've got a meeting tomorrow afternoon, but we'll see if we can't work something out and try to get a little bit better explanation for you. The big thing is that for you to know, what you need to know is keep in mind, you got work due tomorrow or due today, chapter 3, section 3, progress reports on Friday. Try to remember that and also I forgot to mention to you, here, let me draw a little bit bigger water molecule. And this right here is O, and this right here is H, and this is H. H2O. Now, is this a compound? Yes, it's a compound because we've got 2 elements being joined together, oxygen and hydrogen. So, yes, we've got 2. This is a compound. Now, this whole thing right here is a molecule. That is one molecule. Now, I got a question for you. How many atoms do you see in this one molecule? There's 3. 1, 2. There's 3 right there. Atoms are what makes up molecules when they start joining together. So keep that in mind right there. I'll see if I can't come up with a better way to throw all this together so that this will make a little bit better sense. Just make sure you get your chapter 3, section 3 turned in. We'll be working on section 4, maybe a little bit tomorrow and into section 5 tomorrow. We'll see how far we go for the test. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Email me if you got any questions. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.